We are less than 100 days away from the start of the 2023 college football season, and elbows are starting to be thrown on Twitter and message boards. And yes, here at Peek Around the Corner, we need to do today a big red intervention. Holy smokes, Nebraska fans, hold up, hit the brakes. And we're also going to be talking just a little bit about the Pac-12, Big 12 saga, what we expect here in the next week, here at episode 231 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. What really set me off today, friend of mine, Jim from Minnesota, puts out this tweet. With so many kids committing now before the senior year, the month of June becomes critical for recruiting and official visits. Nebraska has 30 official visits lined up for June. By comparison, their game one opponent, Minnesota, just has 12 uncommitted recruits so far for June official visits scheduled. Holy smokes. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, here's the deal. Nebraska always wins the off season. They have for years, right? They have for years. This is nothing new. You can't compare Minnesota and Nebraska's numbers. Nebraska's always going to have more attendance. Nebraska's always going to have the high recruiting class. Nebraska's always going to have more NIL money. On and on and on. Nebraska loves to win the off seasons, but when it comes to the regular season, Nebraska's been losing. They're the last college football team at FBS to make it to a bowl game. All of the FBS schools, they're the last team that made it to a bowl game. Here, let's take a look. These are the last 6 years of Nebraska's record. Forget about the 2020 season, the pandemic season, but 2017, 4-8, 2018, 4-8, 2019, 5-7, 2021, 3-9, 2022, 4-8. Look at the conference records: 3-6, 3-6, 3-6, 1-8, 3-6. So when it gets to actually winning football games, Nebraska has been failing. Scott Frost, his two biggest victories as a head coach was against 7-6 Michigan State, 7-6 Minnesota. Against Minnesota, here were the last 6 games Nebraska has played. They lost 21-54 in 2017. They defeated the Gophers 53-28. Then they've lost the last 4 games in a row. This offseason, Husker Online, Steve Sipple, Ted Carter's struggles at Nebraska must be addressed. Yeah, Nebraska is indeed winning the offseason again. Well, congratulations. That phenomenon has been around essentially since the Mike Riley years as head coach, 2015 to 2017. Am I wrong? Bo Pelini, 2008 to 2014, never did much to foster such a feeling. He was as bottom line oriented as any coach I've covered. But winning the offseason is not the worst thing in the world, right? It's about hope. If you lose hope, then what? I get it. I understand. You want to be hope. You want to be optimistic. No question about it. I'm a Gopher fan. I wouldn't be a Gopher fan anymore over the last 5 decades if I wasn't optimistic. But quit comparing the offseason, very important offseason data, the numbers between Nebraska and Minnesota, Nebraska with the rest of the Big Ten West, Nebraska with the rest of the country. Because after a while, this stuff doesn't mean anything anymore. Not until you start winning football games. That's the point. I'm doing this as an intervention to Big Red because I seriously, many of the fans on Twitter, I don't think you quite understand how you're coming across. It's like the offseason is the most important part of the season. It's not. What happens on the football field is what is the most important. We had to do this intervention. I think a lot of people outside the Big Ten country probably don't realize this, but Nebraska You've got all the promise in the world. You got the great fan base, huge fan base, big NIL. Your fans are all in. You lead with your heart. You lead with your chin. You put your dollars into your program. You always have great recruiting rankings, especially compared to the other Big Ten West schools. But my goodness, can you quit celebrating it? We hear it every single week, and it hasn't mattered in the last 6 years. This has been your PATC Big Red Intervention. Put the brakes on a little bit. My goodness. August 31st, Nebraska versus Minnesota. The Gophers are a 7.5-point favorite. Nebraska fans, some of them, not all of them, some of them are complaining about the Big Ten schedule once again. They're starting to do it. You can see it once again. Why do we have to open the season on the road against Minnesota? Minnesota opens the season on a Thursday every single year for the Big Ten because no one else wants to do it, because you all are so, so important. You can't open the season on a Thursday night. 2 years ago, the Buckeyes came into Minnesota. It was a fantastic game. Thursday night game. Mo Ibrahim had 163 yards midway in the third quarter and ripped his Achilles heels. It was a fantastic football game. The Buckeyes, they didn't complain at all. Because when you're an elite program, you got to go on the road and win. You got to be at home and win. You got to do it all. So Buckeyes, a Wolverine, that's a Nittany Lion. Cornhuskers, quit complaining about the schedule. Quit complaining about the referees. Quit complaining about the Big Ten front office. Just win some football games. That is your intervention. Now, let's get to the saga. Pac-12. Jim Williams, friend of the program. Jim Williams, a quick update. There is a Zoom meeting. There is a Zoom meeting of the Pac-12 Subcommittee on Media Rights. My understanding is it's not a previously scheduled meeting. That said, I have no sense that they are about to announce anything about the Apple World Develops meeting starts tomorrow. Worth a mention. Have a nice Sunday. So, Pac-12 Subcommittee, Media Rights. Now, Jim doesn't quite say if that's happening today or Monday. I'm guessing it's Monday. Jim Williams does a fantastic job keeping us updated on certain media events. Look, don't know what this means. The Pac-12, George Kliavkoff, he has to get something in front of those Pac-12 presidents. Has to get some sort of media deal that means something, not just propose something concrete. He has to do it. This week he's got to pull the rabbit out of the hat, and also keep an eye on the Colorado Board of Regents meeting, special board meeting, executive session only, 3:30 Mountain Time, June 6th, Tuesday. So, according to regulations, Colorado Board of Regents has to put out an agenda 24 hours previous to this meeting. So sometime Monday, we should be seeing an agenda. And according to the rules and regulations, in their meetings, they actually have to talk only about what's on the agenda. So keep an eye on that. Keep your head on a swivel, peek around the corner. It's going to be, I think, quite an eventful week coming up, a dramatic week coming up. George Kliavkoff has to pull the rabbit out of the hat to keep Colorado home in its conference. And with the Big 12, if your mark is successful in poaching Colorado, the dominoes could fall swiftly. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Lots to go over. We're going to be doing a top 25 PATC top 25 here in the next couple days. And I might just put Nebraska like at number 21. Just to make them feel better. Just so they don't have to talk about all these off-season victories. Maybe I'll put them at 21. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.